Hello, welcome to the video lecture series presented by CENT Institute of Technology and Management. Uh, I am Ravinder, Assistant Professor with ETC Department, and the broad topic we are discussing right now is the programming with problem solving using C language. That is, okay. Now, uh, this is basically a course to introduce an intuition at how we are going to solve a particular problem, write an algorithm for a particular problem, and the medium that we are going to use to solve that particular problem or write the solution for that particular problem is the C language. So today's topic of discussion is introduction to arrays. Okay, so let me give you a brief compilation of the coming few lectures, how we are going to approach this particular uh, topic. Today we'll start with introduction to the arrays. I'll introduce you to the basic syntax that we use to initialize the arrays in language C, and we'll do a basic problem in arrays. We'll see how to input the values and how to print that particular array. Okay, and tomorrow we are going to discuss some more advanced topics in arrays, and after that we'll discuss strings. We'll take around 2 lectures discussing that, and after that we'll see how we are going to pass these arrays to a function, and that will be including call by value and call by reference. And after that we'll be discussing a methodology called recursion to solve any problem. We'll devote 2 lectures on that, and that would be the outline of first 6 to 8 lectures. Will be after those 8 lectures we'll be gone through a particular milestone. So after that I'll be will be starting a new topic, new broad topic, and at that point of time I will give you the outline of next few lectures that I am going to devote on that particular broad topic. So we'll go step by step in this. So let's start with the basic definition. These notes are with you, so it will help you to read these definitions and all I'm going to teach you today in this lecture after the lecture or the session ends. So array in C language is a collection of group of elements, but the catch is data or all the elements in C array are homogeneous, that is similar. So what it's trying to say is array is a collection of similar type of data. Let's take an example. Say I want to store the first 5 integer numbers. The conventional method to do that is like I will initialize for storing 5 integer variables. I will do something like int, let's say a and the value, and then int, and then b, and then value, and int, so c, and then value, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, don't mind the caps. I have just caps lock the typing performer just to be more visible. That is not an actual syntax in C, but it will give you the intuition how the things are done conventionally. While when you are using the array is just continuous blocks of memory location that is assigned by the system to store your data points. Like if I have to store these 3 points, I will do like something 1, comma 2, comma 3, and I will end this particular bracket. So this is not an actual C syntax, but it will give you the intuition what kind of uh, what type of data structure I'm talking about. So array is a kind of data structure which stores similar type of data. As you can see, I have stored three data points, that is first, second and third, and you will notice that all of these are of integer type, all of these are of same type. Okay, so you will have a small initial intuition of what the array is. So this is basically a shortcut to store the data points for all of this. Okay, in this particular case, basically. Now array can be of integer type. When I'm saying that it is in of integer type, I'm saying that all the data points which we are going to store in this particular array are of integer type. When I'm saying that my array is of float type, I'm trying to say that all the data points I'm going to store in this particular array are of float type, like 1.5, 2.1, and 3.6. So all of these three data points, we'll give a gap so you can understand more easily. So all three of these three data points are of type float. The thing that you have to keep in mind is you cannot mix data types in a single array. So I am not allowed to do something like this. So I have inserted three data points of type float, and the fourth one is of type character. That is not allowed because all of these elements should be of same type only. So I will remove that, and now it is valid. So let's go back to the notes. Okay, the second definition is array is collection of homogeneous data elements. It has a contiguous memory location, or you can say continuous memory location. If you're talking about C, and if you're talking about an array of integers, so basically integer takes two bytes, 2 bytes of memory location for one particular data point. So if I'm talking about an array of 10 locations and of type integer, then I'm talking about almost 10 multiplied by 2, that is 20 bytes allocated for this particular array. Let's name it array 1. So this particular array that has been named as array 1 now consists of 20 bytes of contiguous memory location. Each 2 bytes of memory location is going to be used to store one of the 10 data points. One of the 10 data points, and all of those data points should be of type integer only, because arrays are of same data types. Is a collection of same data type points. Okay, now let's go ahead. Now array is beneficial if you have to store similar variables. Suppose you have to store marks of 50 students. So one way is allocating 50 variables. That will be typical and hard to manage. We have seen this example, but I have to store 10 data points. The conventional way is you should initialize 10 variables like A, and then B, and then C, and then D, E, F, whatever be the number of points you want to store, and each variable will store the value of one of the data point. Everyone should be declared as an integer if you want to store the integer data points, obviously. And it's a cumbersome process because I have to write 10 separate lines and they have no connection to each other whatsoever. So if I have to reach out to each and every data point that I have entered, I have to call each and every one of these variables individually. They have no connections to each other whatsoever. So that is a pretty cumbersome process. But while using arrays, I will initialize only a single variable called this, and I will enter all the data points, and they will be stored in continuous memory locations, so they will be easier to traverse. Traversing means from one data point to other data point, and they have a link now. They are linked to each other. they are linked through this particular array. Okay, so it's like a chain. First, at in conventional method, it's like I have 10 balls. I have named 10 of those balls individually. They're of different colors, but they have no link to each other. But now I have stored all of those 10 balls in a particular, let's say, box, with a special kind of box in which each of those balls will be placed at a fixed location and right each after another. It's like a rail or a chain of balls. So now you can traverse through all the balls if you have access to one of those balls. But to keep that particular thing in mind, all of those data points should be balls. That means all of those data points should be of same type. That I have said again and again. That is a very common mistake those students do. Now, so we have discussed all this. Now we'll come to the why do we need? What are the advantages of using it? Now, see, one thing that that we have seen already, that the code is optimized. Optimization means they have written a efficient code. Obviously, you're writing the tens or hundreds of lines of code for a particular, and replacing those lines with a single line is going to manage your memory well. That is more efficient and more optimized, and definitely it's going to take less amount of time with respect to the conventional one. So the code is faster also. So that is one pretty good advantage. Next is easy to traverse the data, because in the array all of the what can I say, the data is interlinked to each other. They have a common friend, a variable, array variable name, which they can associate to. So you can reach out to each and every data point. Okay, so they have a common connection now. Like in this particular array, let's name this also, because I was maybe a keeper. So this array, which has been named as array 2, has three data points: 1.5, 2.1, 3.6. All of these are of type float, so it's a valid array. And each of these data points, that is 1.5, 2.1, and 3.6, are interlinked to each other by this particular name. So this is their identity. Okay, so that is a good thing, because we can, if we are able to reach to one of those, we'll be somehow, if you can figure it out, we will be able to reach this particular point and this particular data point. While in this case, there is no way to traverse from one to another without knowing each and every detail of individual data points. That is a good thing. Next is easy to sort the data. We'll see later on if you want to find out, let's say, which one is the largest value, which one is the smallest value. So it's cumbersome to do this in this type of conventional data points. So, but in this kind of data points, we have several predefined functions and algorithms which will sort the data for you, like in increasing or decreasing order, with very few lines of code. So that is also an advantage. And the random access, we have discussed a few minutes ago, that see, now we can reach out to any of the data points randomly, individually. So it's no foundation that we have to traverse through each data point in a particular fashion. So there is the freedom of choosing a particular data point randomly or in a sequence. That is entirely up to you. So we have all the freedom we have. The only foundation is that all the data points should be of same time, and that is the only disadvantage, as we can see here. So disadvantage of array is that it is of fixed size. So whatever be the size, it is of fixed size. That means if I am going to initialize this particular array, so before inserting the data points, I have to tell in advance how many data how many data points are there going to be. So I will write it down as, so I will say that length of the array is fixed, and it means and that too we have to tell the compiler in advance. So there cannot be a case where in the middle of the process you have find out that okay, you need more locations to your array to store the particular data, or you have more data points that you already have at the beginning of the process. So at the middle of the process there is no way to increase your array size. Once it has been hard coded to your system, it has been hard coded to your system. That is the main disadvantage. Second disadvantage in my view is that it should be of same data type. It basically puts you in a constraint where we have to store the multiple data points, but they are of not same type. So these are the two disadvantages that you can write. Next is how many types of array we have. First is one dimensional array, and the other one we have, or we are going to discuss in this course particularly, although we have multiple types, is the two-dimensional array. Although the more than two-dimensional arrays are called something else called tensors, which we are not going to discuss here. So we'll stick ourselves to the one-dimensional array and two-dimensional. So one-dimensional array, what is that? One-dimensional array is basically what we have already seen. So this is one-dimensional array. It has only one dimension. You can see, you must have seen your graphs that has two axes, that is called x and y. So those x and y are called as dimensions. So you can access any point in that space, in that graphical space, by using x and y keys. So that those are called dimension. Now here in array I have already one dimension, that is this dimension. Either you can name it as x or you can name it as y. So if you know the location of x, say this is 1, x equal to 1, so x equal to 1 is this particular data point, x equal to 2 is this particular data point, x equal to 3 is this data point. Okay, so this particular dimension is the only dimension which is going to ensure which data point is at which location in the arrays. Okay, now important thing is the numbering of the index or the location in the array does not start with 1. Let me say it again. The numbering of the location or the memory location in the array does not start with 1, it starts with 0. What I'm trying to say is, let's copy it and paste it. So we have this thing. If I add, I have named it as, let's say, AR1. Okay, the name of this particular array is ARR1. Now, if I want to see, if I want to access the second element of this particular array which has been named ARR1, I have to write ARR1, then bracket start, and then 1. Now this particular element is actually 2.1, not 1.5, and this particular value is called the index. Let me write it here. This is called index, and index is the location. In commonly terms, what is the location of your data point in the array? So first location will always starts with 0. First index is always 0 in arrays. So keep that thing in mind. So if I am writing something like ARR1 and I will write the index say 0, I'm actually accessing 1.5. So this is 0 index, first index, it's second index. So total how many locations? 1, 2, and 3. So length is 3, that is fine, but the index is index is starting from 0th, 1st and 2nd. So that is how you will access a particular data point in your array. Keep that thing in mind. Index always starts with 0, always. Okay, and this is the valid C syntax for accessing a particular element or data point in your array. That is the name of the array first. This is the bracket start, square bracket start, the index number, and the square bracket close. The location or the index number which I have written here directly points to which data point you want. Okay, write it something like, it will be something like 0, comma 1, comma 2. So this 0, okay, not do this. So this is actually, let's see, index. Now this 0 index is for this particular location, first index is for this particular location, and second is for this particular location. Okay, I think you have a brief idea what I'm trying to convey. What is my initial thoughts. Now let's go back to the notes. Now we are at the junction where we will type our first line of syntax for initializing or declaration of an array. Not initializing, let's say declaration. So as you already know what is the difference between them, let me go to the editor first. So this, and so how do we write or how do we declare an array? First thing first, you will write the common syntax is the data type. What is the data type of that? Okay. After that, you will type name of the array. And after that, you will start with a square bracket that I have done here. Okay, and this square bracket will, you have to enter the number of locations that you want to allocate, that is the actual length of the array that you want. So if I want an array of length 10, I will insert 10 here, and the compiler will allocate if it is a type of integer data type, 20 continuous memory locations for this particular named array, and then the semicolon as usual. Let's write actual line. So first the data type called int. So whatever be the name of the array, I am going to declare here all the data points in that particular array is of type int, and the name is AR2, that is the name of the array. Then the square bracket start, and I want it to be of 10 data points and semicolon, that is it. Now we have only declared the value. This syntax, this here is, I have only declared it. Okay, so this particular syntax here is only declaration. Yes, declaration. At this point of time, an array of name ARR2 has been, what can I say, formed up by the memory locations. 20 continuous memory locations are being allocated to the array of name ARR2. Why 20? Because I'm using int, and for one particular data point it uses 2 bytes, so 20 bytes of memory locations are already been allocated, but what is inside those memory locations is not yet being defined by me. So by default there may be a garbage value if the memory locations are termed as something, and maybe 0 if I have defined my memory location as something else, which we will discuss in last some other topic called dynamic memory allocation. We will not discuss this right now. We will not go into detail. So this is the declaration of how we are going to declare that I'm going to create an array of name ARR2 that should be of type integer, and it will have 10 data points, or its length is going to be of 10 data points. That is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's pretty clear by now what I'm trying to say and what is the how we are going to make it. And we have an example in our notes. First is integer is the actually integer is the type, marks is the name, and 5 is the length of this particular array. So I've created an array which has been named marks. All the data points in that particular array should be of type int, and there will be total 5 data points or 5 elements inside this marks array that we have defined. So here int is the type, mark is array name, and 5 is the array size. That is what I'm trying to say. Now, how will you initialize an array? Initialization of an array means how I'm going to assign a value to each of the element in that particular marks array, which we have discussed earlier, how to access a particular index of an array. First we will write the name, that is marks of the array, square bracket start, the index number, that is 0 means first location, the square bracket closed, equal to 80. Now this particular 80 integer value is at the first location of marks or first index of marks array. And so at index number 1 the value is 60, at index number 2 the value is 70, at index number 3 value is 85, at index number 4 value is 75. So it will look something like this. So first location value is 80, second location value is 60, third location value is 70, and then 85 and 75. And how we are going to access it? Name of the array, index number. Let me remind you again. The index number of first element is 0, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. Total length 5, but index starts from 0 and ends at 4. So we'll stop this lecture right now here, and if you people have any doubts regarding those what I have taught you today, you can ask me on the group, and we can arrange a Google Meet if a significant number of students have same doubts, or I will try to clear those doubts on the group itself. And tomorrow we will resume for some more about the arrays in next lecture. Thank you.